Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Welcome back to Harry's Highlights. On this video, we're going to talk about the book Crucial Conversations. Now, this is all about not avoiding a conversation just because it's uncomfortable or confrontational. See, it's understanding that there's plenty of times where we all run into situations or opportunities where we have to have what's called a crucial conversation. A conversation that's potentially could go wrong if it isn't handled with care. It's about understanding that, just because it might be tense, it is still necessary. So some of the things I want to talk about when having a crucial conversation is understanding what tools you can use and employ to make it run a lot smoother. So one of them is about understanding handling it with care, but treating it with mutual respect. So if you go into that conversation with mutual respect and not with the intent of just proving the other person wrong or coming down, overcompensating because it's a difficult conversation, so overcompensating with anger or frustration, coming with mutual respect and understanding that it is going to be tense for them and tense for you. It's going to be difficult for you as well as it will be for them. So you need to use things like contrasting statements. That'll ensure it doesn't hurt any more than it needs to. Things like saying I don't want this, but I do want this. That style of understanding helps them feel like you're saying things out of necessity, not out of any sort of need to make things worse or prove a point or out of ego or anything like that. It's purely out of if we're talking about reprimanding someone, might be a bit tense, but you're there to talk about I don't want to basically speak down to you, but what I do want to is highlight the things that you've done wrong. So I don't mean this condescendingly, but I do understand, and hope that you understand, I do need to highlight the problems that you're having, or the things where you're going wrong. So, and then understand that they're going to feel uncomfortable with it, but it's necessary. And coming along with that mutual respect and showing how here's what you don't want to do, and you don't want it to be misinterpreted, but here's what you do need to do, and here's what you do want from it. That handling with care like that can prevent things it's not like defusing a bomb. The wrong words could cause an emotional explosion. And by speaking with that mutual respect, you're navigating around it in the least damaging way. And hopefully no damage at all, but in a way that's going to be able to handle it with care and respect, and that person's feelings aren't hurt any more than what it needs to. Because there will be some degree of uncomfortability and possible pain, but it's about dealing with it in a way that they understand where they've gone wrong or whatever needs to be handled or spoken about, but without any extra pain or frustration. So part of it is to prevent and ease that tension. You need to use dialogue that basically diffuses and unites you both. So looking for that common goal or creating that common value or purpose between you two. It's looking at it in a situation where it's it's you and the other person versus the problem instead of you versus the other person. You're not on opposing sides, you're on the same side looking at the problem. That way they can feel not like they're being attacked, that way they can feel like it's a team effort and it's not you flexing your authority or trying to basically stand over them and staunch them in any way. It's about understanding hey, I need to take initiative with this area because there's an area that you might not be aware of or you are aware of, and I need to highlight how it's a problem, how we're going to prevent it from happening in the future. Or it might be something on a different level where it might just be somebody owes you an invoice. They have an unpaid invoice and you need to call them up and remind them of it. You call them up to say hey, here's the problem, not attacking you, but reminding you, but also looking for some form of solution to the problem that we have here. So it's you're both united because here's the problem, it's not you versus them. The common purpose is to prevent it from happening, and so the solution and the goal is for both of you is to have the invoice paid. So it's that idea of working together on the same side versus the problem instead of you owe me, when are you paying? It's a difference of hey, I'm not sure what's happened here, but there's still an invoice that you agreed to pay. How can we work together to make sure this is paid? Or what time frame are you looking to pay it in? Was there a problem with you paying it? Looking for understanding on both sides while not making the other person feel foolish or anything like that. See, it's about transitioning from a fight to basically a strategy or brainstorming session where it's both of you working together instead of you versus the other person. See, one of the tactics that you should really employ to make it easier or run smoother is assume you don't know the full story and that you're going to ask them to paint the whole picture for you. That way you go in with using productive dialogue instead of assumptive or accusational dialogue. Instead of, if we use the invoice again, instead of seeing it as that like, hey, you owe me, why haven't you paid? It's very assumptive and aggressive, coming in that like, hey, I'm not sure what's happening, but there was an invoice that you agreed to pay me. It hasn't come through. Is everything okay? Oh yeah, I paid it. I might have paid it to the wrong place. Or like, sorry, there's a problem with like our accounting department's been, something's happened there. Or yeah, I was waiting on a certain payment to come in so I could pay you. There's some degree of production with the dialogue instead of throwing punches at one another, verbal punches. So part of that is that everything sort of basically has to come together. So you're ideally working as a team instead of working against one another. Your goal at the end of the day is always to do what you can to both achieve an outcome where it's win-win. It doesn't have to be win-lose. And understanding that the tension and the uncomfortableness is just part of the package. It's still a necessary conversation. Unfortunately, part of it is going to be tense, part of it is going to be uncomfortable. But you can work together and use words that are going to diffuse it and navigate around it in a way where that tension starts to release and you diffuse it so that, and you have a feeling of you're both united against the problem, not divided against each other. So putting it all together, I guess, like to quickly summarize on it all, it's about just because a conversation is difficult, just because a conversation is tense or uncomfortable, doesn't mean you should avoid it. There's plenty of conversations that we're going to run into where it's necessary, it's crucial to have that conversation. And that handling it in a way where you both feel like it's being dealt with respect will mean that it's less likely to have an emotional explosion where the other person feels backed into a corner, where the other person might feel attacked, put down, or feel like their reputation is being threatened, your opinion of them is being threatened, maybe they feel like your perception of them is changing negatively. By handling it with respect and understanding, you can prevent all of that from happening, and you can ensure that it's not any more painful than what it needs to be. So the first part of it is that handling it with care and mutual respect is that using contrasting statements, coming in with dialogue that explains that like, I don't want to upset you, but I do want to solve this problem. That contrasting statement is understanding that like, here's where it could potentially go, where I don't want it to go, and here's where I do want it to go, and we could potentially make it go this way by working together. That way, it eliminates any chance of it being miscommunicated as like, are you coming at me because you want to staunch and just prove your authority? Are you coming at me because you're just having a bad day and using me as an emotional punching bag? Are you coming at me because you value me and invested in me and want me to become better? So you're letting me this know so that I can become better? Like, what way is it coming in? Using that contrasting statement shows that I can understand how on your side it might appear this way, but here's actually what I want it to be. So it's really like diffusing a bomb, because you've got to basically, the wrong words could cause an emotional explosion, so you have to handle it with care and gently and understanding, and never too brash or aggressive. So to prevent that tension, you need to use dialogue that diffuses and unites you both. Something that puts you both on the same side, you and them versus the problem versus you versus them. So it transitions it from a fight to a strategical brainstorming session, where it's like we're both going like, well, what do you think of this and what do you think of this, to fix the problem. Not you did this, you did this, you did this. It's about us together, like, what's your opinion on this? Or even like, hey, this is what happened, how do you feel about it? There's always a give and take. There's backwards and forwards, to and fro. So part of that is assuming that you don't know the full story, so you give them the chance to explain themselves and they feel listened to and understood. and it then promotes productive dialogue instead of assumptive or aggressive accusational dialogue. So that there will prevent you from when having a crucial conversation, from it becoming negative or falling apart. Well, that's all from me. So now we're going to be making a lot more of these videos for this training series to help you with the personal development goals. That's all for now though, so until next time, leave a comment below on what you like the most and look forward to sharing more with you in the next episode of Harry's Highlights.